I died on a Tuesday, choking on my own screams as the pills they forced down my throat burned like acid. My father's cold eyes watching from the doorway, like he was signing off on a routine procedure. But it wasn't the end. It was the goddamn reset button, slamming me back into my 22-year-old body. Heart pounding in a dorm room that smelled like stale pizza and regret. 3 years before the betrayal that gutted me. Josephine, I whispered to my reflection in the cracked mirror, fingers tracing the fresh scar on my wrist from a skateboarding wipeout that hadn't happened yet. This time, you bury them first. The rain hammered Seattle like it had a personal grudge, turning the University of Washington campus into a slick, neon-lit maze of regret and second chances. I was Josephine Harper again, not the broken shell who'd OD'd in a psych ward, framed as the junkie daughter of Dr. Elias Harper, the golden boy of neurology. No, this was me at 22, pre-med junior with a killer internship lined up at Harborview Medical Center, where Dad's name was etched on plaques like he was some saint. But I knew better now. I remembered the boardroom whispers, the falsified scans, the way he'd laughed off the complications from his experimental trials on desperate Alzheimer's patients. And me, I'd been the perfect cover, his wide-eyed daughter, interning under him, until I stumbled on the files proving he'd buried bodies under NDAs and payoffs. That first morning back, I bolted upright in my twin bed, sheets tangled like restraints, the echo of my last breath still rattling in my lungs. My roommate, Lena, God, sweet, oblivious Lena, who testified against me in the sham inquest, snored across the room, her lava lamp casting bubbly shadows on posters of indie bands I'd never see live again. I grabbed my phone, October 15th, 2022. 3 years to the day before the accident. My hands shook as I scrolled through emails, deleting the one from Dad inviting me to shadow his big presentation. Not this time. This time, I'd play the long game. Classes blurred into a haze of anatomy lectures and cadaver labs. But my mind was a steel trap, replaying the endgame like a horror reel. I'd confronted him in his office, the city lights twinkling below like mocking stars, waving printouts of encrypted emails linking him to black market drug trials. Dad, these people died because of you, I'd sobbed. And he just sighed, like I was the disappointment. Then the orderly's hired muscle from his private clinic had pinned me down, the syringe glinting under the desk lamp. For the family,
Ja, hej det är mormor.
as the world dissolved into black. Betrayal didn't just sting. It hollowed you out, left you a ghost in your own skin. But ghosts make the best hunters. I needed proof, irrefutable, courtroom-shredding proof without tipping my hand. Step 1. Infiltrate without suspicion. I aced my interviews, landed that internship anyway, because hell, I was Elias Harper's daughter. The irony was thicker than Seattle fog. Harborview's halls hummed with the beep of monitors and the shuffle of scrubs, a sterile symphony hiding rot. Dad's team buzzed around him like bees to honey, Dr.
Markus Hale.
His right-hand man, all slick smiles and Ivy League polish, Nurse Carla Ruiz, who forged the consent forms with a flick of her pen, and interns like me, cannon fodder for their egos. My first shift, I volunteered for the archives dive, organizing old patient files, I said sweetly, batting lashes at the supervisor. Down in the basement, amid dusty cabinets and flickering fluorescents, I struck gold. File HB 4782, Evelyn Whitaker, 68. Enrolled in Dad's pioneering neural implant trial. Cause of death, cardiac event. but the attached EG spikes like a seizure on steroids. Timestamped after the implant activation. Buried notes in Dad's scroll. Subject non-compliant. Terminate monitoring. Evelyn hadn't died. She'd been silenced. My pulse thundered as I snapped photos on my burner phone, the flash cutting through the gloom like a knife. Upstairs, Dad clapped me on the back during rounds. His cologne, that same crisp cedar that haunted my nightmares, wafting over. Killing it.
Kiddo.
Just like I taught you. His eyes. Steel blue and unreadable. Search mine a beat too long. Did he sense it? The shift in my gait. The way I no longer flinched at his touch. I smiled. All teeth. Wouldn't be anywhere else. Dad. Nights bled into strategy sessions in my shoebox apartment off campus. Walls papered with printouts and red string conspiracies that would make a true crime podcast a blush. Lena thought I was prepping for finals, brewing energy drinks like potions. You're intense. Joe, she'd laugh, oblivious to the storm. I mapped the players. Marcus. The schemer who'd pocketed trial kickbacks to fund his Hamptons weekends. Carla. Blackmailed into compliance after Dad helped her with a DUI cover-up and the wild card, Dr.
Theo Lang.
The ethics board whistleblower who'd vanished mid-investigation.
Relais à suicide.
I'd grieved him once. Attended his empty memorial. This time, I'd resurrect his ghost. The first crack in their armor came at the holiday mixer. Harborview's annual schmooze fest in the rooftop lounge. Puget Sound glittering below like shattered glass. Eggnog flowed. Carols warbled from tinny speakers. And I wore a red dress that hugged like armor, nursing a spiked cider while eavesdropping. Marcus cornered Dad by the railing. Voices low over the wind. Elias. The FDA's sniffing again. That Whitaker glitch. Glitches happen, Dad cut in. Voice velvet over steel. We pivot. New cohort starts January. Double the dosage. Results will dazzle. My blood iced. Pivot? They were accelerating. Not stopping. I slipped away, heart slamming, and texted an anonymous tip to the Seattle PI from a VPN. Harborview Neurology. Trials killing patients. Check HB 4782. Baby steps. But revenge wasn't a sprint. It was a scalpel.
Precise and deep.
As weeks ground on, the tension coiled like a spring. I shadowed Marcus on a consult, a young vet named Riley with TBI from deployment, eyes hollow as he signed the waiver. This'll fix me, right, Doc? Marcus nodded, but I caught the side eye to his tablet, preloaded side effects redacted. That night, I hacked the hospital Wi-Fi, thanks. Dark web tutorials from my dead future. Pulling Riley's baseline scans.
Clean.
If they botched this, it'd be on me to prove it. Dad noticed my edge during our weekly dinners at his Beacon Hill brownstone. The table groaning under roast beef and lies. You're quiet.
Ja.
Boyfriend troubles. He'd always probed like a biopsy, extracting truths. I forked a potato, forcing casual. Just buried in neuroethics. That Lang case, wild.
Ha.
Ethics board guy offs himself right before blowing the whistle. His fork paused midair. Just a flicker. But I saw it, the micro-twitch in his jaw. Tragic. Burnout's a killer in our field. He changed the subject to my thesis, but the air thickened, charged like pre-storm ozone. I excused myself early, claiming a headache, and in the guest bath, I palmed his iPad from the hall table. Password. My birthday. Amateur. Encrypted folder. Contingencies. Photos of Theo Lang's suicide scene, bruises on the wrists inconsistent with hanging. A staged note in Arial font. My stomach roiled. They'd murdered him. For me, it'd be pills and a sob story. January hit like a freight train, snow blanketing the city in false purity. The new trial cohort assembled, 10 patients, desperate souls chasing miracles for dementia, Parkinson's, you name it. I was assigned intake, clipboard in hand, smiles masking the bile. Evelyn's daughter, Sarah Whitaker, showed up for her mom's old slot, eyes red-rimmed. She trusted Harper. Said he was a genius. I swallowed the truth. Handed her the pen. He is. But under the table, I slid her a card. Ask for unredacted EEGs. HB 4782. Words spread like gangrene. An anonymous blog post hit. Harborview's House of Horrors, detailing the payoffs. The cover-ups. Marcus paced Dad's office. Phone glued to ear. It's that intern bitch. Isn't it? The one sniffing archives. Dad's voice. Calm as a scalpel. Patience. Marcus. We contain it. They came for me that Friday. Tailing my bus from campus. Black SUV. Tinted windows, subtle as a sledgehammer. I spotted them in the rearview at my stop. Heart jackhammering as I bolted into the Pike Place market throng, dodging fishmongers and tourists. Salt air stung my lungs. Stalls a blur of salmon and spices. I lost them in the gum wall alley, but not before snapping the plate. WA, HRPR 47. Harper. Dad's plates. Message received. I holed up in a motel off Aurora Avenue. Burner buzzing with alerts. The PI ran the story. Intern raises alarms at major hospital. Dad's face on the news. Polished concern. My team is devastated by these baseless claims. We're saving lives. The comments exploded. Justice for Whitaker trending. Protesters chaining to Harborview's gates. But the board circled wagons. Suspending routine audits. That's when I played my wild card. The new doctor.
Dr.
Nathan Cole. Fresh from Johns Hopkins. Hired to bolster the team. His consult was routine, annual physical for interns, but when he slid my chart under the MRI machine, something shifted. The hum filled the room. Cool gel on my temples. And as the images bloomed on screen, I dropped the bomb. Funny thing, my dad's scans looked just like mine.
Dr.
Elias Harper was my doctor growing up. Ring any bells? He froze. Scalpel hand trembling. Face leaching color, like ink in water. Eyes darting to the door. Harper. Voice a rasp.
You.
You're his? The machine whirred on. But the air crackled. Nathan Cole wasn't just new. He was haunted.
Yo.
Josephine. Right?
I.
I knew your father. From Johns Hopkins.
He. He mentored me.
Liar. I remembered now. Fragments from the inquest files I'd devoured in hell. Nathan Cole, the resident who'd flagged Theo Lang's concerns years back, only to retract under pressure. Dad's star pupil, who'd signed off on the first falsified trial. But his pallor screamed guilt, not pride. Mentored how? I pressed, sliding off the table, gown whispering. He doesn't mention you. Nathan's atoms apple-bobbed, gaze flicking to the scans, my brain, pristine, unmarred by the tumors they'd diagnose to discredit me later.
He.
Saved my career. A procedure gone wrong. But he covered it. Said it was for the greater good. Sweat beaded his brow. What do you know?
Yo.
Everything. The pieces slammed home. Nathan was the ghost in the machine. The weak link Dad thought he'd forged unbreakable. In my first life, he testified for the prosecution, painting me as unstable. This time, leverage. I know about Whitaker.
Lang.
The contingencies. His knees buckled against the console.
Please.
I had no choice. He owns half the board. Choices are illusions. Doc, I said, voice steel. But here's yours. Help me end it. Or I leak your retraction email, the one begging the FDA to investigate. I'd bluff the email. But his flinch confirmed it existed. Alliance forged in the hum of the dying machine. We met in shadows after that, coffee shops in Capitol Hill. Whispers over lattes, laced with desperation. Nathan spilled. Dad's empire built on a pyramid of lies. Starting with a botched surgery on Nathan's watch. A patient flatlining under the knife. Dad buried it. Pulled strings for Nathan's fellowship. But the price? Silence on the trials. He's escalating.
Yo.
The new implants, they're weaponized. DARPA funding. Off books. Not just healing, controlling neural pathways. Military applications. My gut twisted. Not just greed, treasonous ambition. Dad wasn't saving lives, he was scripting them. Riley's cohort? Test dummies for mind leashes. The controversy ignited. Leaks hit the wires. Veterans groups picketing. Senators demanding hearings. Dad's face aged a decade overnight. Press conferences a farce of denial. But revenge demands sacrifice. The decision gnawed me, caused Tran Kai. The kind that splits families and nations. Leak the full dossiers. Naming Nathan as accomplice? He'd flip. Testify. But drag innocents, Carla's kids. Low-level nurses, into the fire. Or go nuclear, infiltrate the next implant op. Sabotage from within. Risk patients' lives for the greater expose. I chose the blade's edge. Recruiting Sarah Whitaker for the heist. For Evelyn, she breathed. Eyes fire. The op night loomed. Full moon mocking over the sound. Harborview's sublevel lab. Guards doubled after the leaks. Nathan disabled cams. I slipped in scrubs. Toolkit clammy in my grip. Riley strapped to the table. For dripping sedative. Marcus overseeing like a vulture. Harper's daughter, he sneered as I approached. Badge gleaming. Elias said you'd come around. I smiled. Needle pricking his neck. Karari derivative. Paralytic from the pharma stash. He slumped. Eyes bulging. Tell Dad hi. Alarms wailed as I yanked Riley's line. Monitors flatlining in orchestrated chaos. Sarah burst in. USB plunging into the server. Downloading terabytes of proof, videos of seizures, ledgers of payoffs. Dad's voice memos greenlighting terminations. Evac was hell. Gunshots echoing. Security swarming. Nathan covered our six. Trank darting a guard. But a bullet grazed my shoulder. Fire blooming hot. We piled into the service van. Tires screeching into the night. Sirens a banshee chorus. At the safe house, a derelict warehouse in Fremont, Sarah patched me up. Hands steady. We did it.
Yo.
The files. It's over. But twists lurk in the dark. As dawn bled gray, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Dad's voice. Calm as ever. Clever girl. But you forget family. The line clicked, and the door exploded inward. SWAT flooding. Vest stamped FBI.
Betrayal encore.
Nathan, the snake, had flipped, wired for sound. Our alliance, a sting to trap the rogue in turn. For immunity, he sobbed as cuffs snapped. He promised I'd walk. Dad strode in last. Impeccable in his Burberry coat, eyes gleaming triumph.
Ja.
Sweetheart. This ends now. You'll get help, the best facilities. Tell them it was stress. The leak's a breakdown. His hand on my cheek, tender as venom. For the family, the room spun, blood lost blurring edges. Sarah spat curses. Dragged away, Riley, groggy, piecing the nightmare. But in that crush of Kevlar and regret, clarity struck like lightning. I'd miscalculated, not the players, but the board. Dad wasn't the king, he was the castle, built on illusions I'd once worshipped. They hauled me to holding, psych eval pending. But I laughed raw, unhinged because the USB? I'd swallowed it. Micro SD in a latex sheath. A surgeon's gut check. Interrogation dragged. Shrinks probing my delusions, but I stonewalled, waiting for the cramps to hit. Extraction in the infirmary. Under guard. The files beamed to every major outlet via deadman switch on my cloud. By noon, the world burned. CNN looped the memos. Vets stormed the Capitol. Senators invoked the 25th on healthcare funding. Dad's empire crumbled live, arrested in his driveway. Silver hair disheveled, flashing the cameras a snarl. Marcus suicided in his cell, or assisted, whispers said. Carla flipped. Plea deals spilling guts.
Me?
Charges dropped as cooperating witness, but the scars ran deeper. Lena visited. Eyes wide. Joe.
You.
You were right. I nodded. Hollow. Nathan rotted in Leavenworth. Treason pinned. Sarah got her justice. Foundation in Evelyn's name. Months later, discharged to a halfway in the suburbs, I stared at the sound from a park bench. Waves whispering absolution. Trungson wasn't rebirth, it was reckoning. The kind that carves you hollow but whole. Dad's trial loomed, life. No parole but his last letter. Smuggled out. Proud of you.
Kiddo.
Finish what we started. I burned it. Ashes scattering on the tide. This time, the story ended mine. The halfway house smelled like bleach and broken dreams. A squat brick bunker in Tacoma where the sound's salt air couldn't quite reach. Rain pattered the tin roof like impatient fingers. And I lay on my bunk, shoulder-stitched but throbbing, replaying the warehouse takedown in loops that blurred triumph and terror. Cuffed in that flood of blue. Dad's smirk had been a gut punch. But the USB's payload? That was my Excalibur. Pulled from the stone of his lies. Outlets devoured it. New York Times front page. Neurologist's empire, from brain saves to mind control. Protests swelled from Seattle to D.C. Vets in wheelchairs blocking FDA doors. Chanting, no more ghosts. But victory's aftertaste was ash. The feds grilled me for days in a fluorescent box. Coffee gone cold. Suits trading glances like I was Exhibit A in their redemption arc. Miss Harper. Your father's. Influence runs deep. The lead agent, a grizzled vet named Kowalski, had said, rubbing temples. We needed the inside. Coal was our plant. Nathan, the Judas with a medical degree, staring through me and holding like I was the villain.
Idespat.
He mentored you too.
Huh?
Greater good. Kowalski shrugged. Ends justify.
Kid.
You saved lives.
Did I?
Riley texted from rehab, clean scans,
No implants.
gratitude emoji flooding my inbox. Sarah called weekly, voice stealing. Evelyn smiling somewhere. But nights clawed me awake. Dad's whisper, for the family, a loop in my skull.
Trùng sinh promise payback.
But the bill came due in fragments. Trust shattered. Like Lena's hesitant hugs. Or the way mirrors showed a stranger's eyes. Hardened to flint. Discharge hit in April. Cherry blossoms mocking the gray with pink defiance. No fanfare, just a bus ticket and a duffel of thrift teas. I crashed with Sarah in her Capitol Hill walk-up. Walls lined with Evelyn's quilts. The air thick with chamomile tea and unspoken debts. Stay as long as, she said, handing me a mug. We're sisters now. Her laugh was brittle, edged with the grief I'd unearthed. We binged true crime docs, dissecting my saga like autopsy slides. But the real plot twist festered quiet, Dad's network. Whispers from Kowalski's off-record calls, board members lawyered up, politicians invoking executive privilege on the DARPA ties. The trials halted, sure, but the rot? It spread underground, like roots in concrete. I enrolled at community college, Jenny DS to rebuild the transcript shredded in scandal. But med school dreams? Buried with Theo Lang. Instead, I volunteered at a free clinic in the Central District, bandaging scrapes for the uninsured, ears tuned to street buzz. Patients trickled in, ex-Harborview ghosts, side effects lingering like bad tattoos, migraines that felled them mid-sentence, phantom twitches from half implants. 1. A Latina grandma named Rosa clutched my hand during intake. That doctor, Harper? He promised memory back. Now I forget my own name some days. Her eyes, milky with unshed tears, pinned me. You his girl? I nodded, throat tight. Was. Word of my whistleblowing halo spread, patients sought me out, stories pouring like confessions. I compiled them in a battered notebook, carbon copies mailed to senators, the kind of grassroots guerrilla that made feds sweat. But Dad's shadow loomed, mails started vanishing, tires slashed on Sarah's Civic. A note in my locker at the clinic, family first. Drop it, and signed. But the cedar cologne on the envelope? Unmistakable. Even in cuffs. He pulled strings, jailhouse calls to old allies. I figured. Summer baked the city. Heat waves warping the asphalt. And I hit a wall. Therapy mandated. A shrink named Dr. Ellis in a Belltown high-rise. All leather couches and probing stares. Anger's valid. Josephine, she'd say. Notepad balanced on knee. But vengeance? It's a cycle. Idish Nord. Tracing the scar. Cycle broke when he broke me. Sessions devolved to silence. Me sketching mural maps, Dad's implants. Redesigned ethical. A pipe dream. Ellis noticed. You're still in the game. I shrugged. Game's rigged. I'm rewriting the rules. The call came in July. Kowalski's gravel voice on a payphone. Harper's flipping names. Marcus is dead. But Carla? Singing like a canary. Points to a bigger fish, Senator Hale. Marcus's uncle.
Dr. Spett.
Hale, the silver fox from C-SPAN. Healthcare reform darling. A controversy incarnate. If I pushed, it'd torch DC. But innocence? Collateral in the blast. Decision time. The kind that twists guts. Leak the connections early. Fry Hale pre-trial. Risk Dad walking on a technical? Or wait. Let the dominoes fall slow. But let worms like hail burrow deeper? I chose fire. Anonymous drop to ProPublica. Ledgers linking Hale's pack to trial funds. Emails with dad greenlighting enhanced cognition for Black Ops recruits. The story detonated. Headlines screaming brainwashing for bucks. Senator in implant scandal. Hale resigned an oppressor. Face puce. Denying baseless smears from a disgraced family. Protesters stormed his office. Effigies burning on the National Mall. Dad's trial accelerated. Venue switched to federal court in Seattle. Jury polled for bias. Visitation day. I went. The room sterile. Plexiglass partitioning us like a confessional. Dad in orange. Hair thinned, but eyes? Still that piercing blue. Appraising. Josephine. You look well. Voice modulated. Like dictating notes. I leaned in.
Mick crackling.
Cut the shit.
Why?
He smiled.
Faint.
You were always too curious. The work, it mattered. Borders blurred for progress. I slammed the receiver. Progress? You murdered for grants. His gaze softened. Paternal. And you do the same. That van? You risked Riley's life.
Touché.
The guard pulled me, but his whisper lingered. Check the safe. Lake House. For you, Lake House. The cabin on Sammamish. Summers of canoeing and lies. I drove up that weekend. Sarah shotgun. Keys jangling like accusations. The place unchanged, pine paneling. Stone fireplace. Dust motes dancing in sun shafts. Safe behind a Winslow Homer print. Combination my birth date. Again. Inside, not cash or jewels, a drive. Labeled legacy. And a letter. Joe, if you're reading this, the game's changed. Finish it right. Love. Dad. Files on the drive, not damning, but exonerating, alternate logs. Showing Dad's attempts to halt the trials. Emails to DARPA pulling funding. Flagged as inconclusive. Forged, or truth in the gray. My hands shook plugging it in. Sarah's breath held. Memos detailing ethical overrides. Dad arguing against escalation. I fought them.
Ja. Hale.
The suits. You think I wanted this? A video, him in the office, voice strained, pleading with shadows off camera. The implants, they're addictive. We can't deploy. Twist like a knife. In my first life, I'd seen only the monster. Now, the man fractured by ambition's weight. Betrayal redoubled. He'd played me, even in death's echo. But doubt crept, venomous. Had I accelerated the kills? My leaks forcing his hand? Sarah gripped my arm. Don't. He's gaslighting from a cell. I nodded.
But the seed rooted.
Trial opened in September. Media circus under rainy skies. I testified third day. Stand creaking under spotlights. Jury faces masks of judgment.
Dr.
Harper falsified data, I said. Voice steady. Flashing the memos, real ones, unredacted. Dad watched from defense table. Expression unreadable. The cross-exam. His lawyer pounced. MS. Harper. Isn't it true you access files illegally? Sabotaged equipment. Endangering patients. The drive's files hit then defense exhibit. Painting me the unstable avenger. Dad the beleaguered whistleblower in waiting. Gasps rippled the gallery. Kowalski texted from the back. Trap. He planted it, but the damage stuck. Doubt seating the jury.
Nights.
I pace Sarah's floor. What ifs gnawing? Call it off. No, the truth was mosaic. Shards of gray. But the bodies? Undeniable. Climax crashed week 3. Hale's aide flipped. Live on stand. Spilling black site ops. Implants tested on detainees. Dad's tech the backbone. The courtroom erupted. Bailiff shouting. Judge banging gavel. Dad's face cracked. Mask slipping to rage. Lies. I buried it. Convictions slammed down. Conspiracy. Manslaughter x 12. Life without. Outside. Rain lashed.
Reporters swarming.
I slipped through. To the pier. Waves churning black. Sarah found me. Umbrella shared. It's over. But was it? Dad's legacy. A tainted field. Trust eroded.
Me.
Scarred architect of the fall. Yet in the quiet, a spark, the drive's ethical blueprints. Purified. I'd build from ashes, not revenge, but redemption. Clinics for the ghosts. Trials transparent. Trungson's gift, not just payback, but purpose. Fall foliage turned the cascades to fire, but Tacoma's streets stayed sodden. A perpetual drizzle mirroring the limbo of post-trial life. Dad's conviction hit the wires like a nuke. Neurology titan falls, life for deadly trials, and the fallout blanketed everything in fallout dust. Protests morphed to policy pushes. Bills named after Evelyn snaking through Congress. Mandating implant oversight. I got a MacArthur nod. Emerging innovator. Check cash to fund a pop-up clinic in the ID. Treating the trial survivors with yoga and talk, not scalpels. Sarah ran ops. Her quilts repurposed as waiting room blankets. A quiet fuck you to the white coats who'd failed her mom. But peace? Elusive as dry skies. Nightmares evolved, not just the OD, but the van's chaos. Riley's gasp as lines ripped. The what-if of his flatline on my hands. Therapy with Ellis ramped up. Sessions in her office overlooking the ferry lanes. Ships cutting fog like scalpels. Guilt's the ghost now. Joe, she'd say. Stirringtea. You avenged. But at what cost?
Hidekunte.
Cost was prepaid in blood. Yet the drive's files haunted. A digital Pandora's box on my laptop. Password but pulsing. Dad's legacy. Half-truths or full absolution. I'd hired a forensics guy off Craigslist. Ex-NSA type named Vic. To scrub it. Layers. Kid. He'd grunted over Zoom. Cigar smoke haloing his beard. Backdated metadata. But the content? Legit attempts to bail. Your old man was in over his head. Over his head. The phrase stuck.
Burrowing.
I'd mythologized him as villain pure. But the video replayed in idle moments. Dad. Ty Askew. Arguing shadows. This isn't medicine, it's madness. Who were the shadows? Hale dead by heart attack in custody, convenient, or DARPA ghosts. Untouchable? Controversy brewed anew. Conspiracy, nuts on X threading my name to deep state webs. Harper Air, hero or hoax? Doxers hit my inbox. Threats scrawled in caps. Finish what daddy started, or we will. I armored up. Routine a bunker. Clinic mornings. College afternoons. Evenings mapping the drive's blueprints into grant proposals. Neural Restoration Network. I pitched to funders, ethical implants for trauma. Open source. No military strings. Backers bit, Gates Foundation seed money. TED Talk invites, but skeptics sniffed. Daughter of the devil? One panel. A bioethicist from Stanford cornered me post-talk. Bold.
Ems.
Harper. But can you escape the gene pool? I smiled. Razor. Genes load the gun. I pull the trigger. Lena resurfaced, then ghost from the dorm days. Coffee clutch at a capital spot. Her barista apron dusted with flour.
Ja. I.
I should have believed. Her eyes, guileless, stirred old aches. We drifted post-scandal. Her testimony a scar I'd cauterized with distance. You were scared, I said, stirring sugar I didn't take. We all were. Lies bridged us. Tentative, texts about bad dates. Her art shows, but undercurrent pulled. She dated Marcus's cousin. A lawyer sniffing trial appeals. He says your dad's innocent, she blurted, cheeks flushing. Framed by feds for the ops. I froze. Mug midway. And you buy that? She shrugged. Just. Layers. Right? Layers. Echo of Vic. That night, I cracked the drive deeper. Hidden partition yielding audio, Dad's voicemails to me. Pre-confrontation in my first life.
Ja.
Stay out. It's bigger than us. Timestamp, weeks before the OD. He'd known I was digging. Tried to warn without tipping. Or manipulate. Doubt metastasized. Calling Kowalski at a dive bar. His laugh bark over clinking glasses. Harper, smart as hell. Planted the doubts to soften his fall. But the bodies? His signature. Proof, a redacted DARPA memo. Declassified post-trial. Naming Dad lead on Project Echo, neural overrides for enhanced interrogation. No wiggle room. Winter clamped down. Holidays a minefield. Sarah and I hosted Stray's clinic patients. Riley home on leave. His laugh booming over turkey. You yanked my plug.
Ja.
Oh, you beer's eternal.
Toastram.
But my phone buzzed mid-carve, unknown. Voice synth distorted. Legacy lives. Sammamish. Midnight. Come alone. Heart stutter. Trap? Or the shadows calling collect? I went. Snow crunching under boots. Lake frozen rim ice glinting moon pale. Cabin dark. But the safe yawned another drive. Slipped under door. For the truth. Note read. Handwriting not Dad's. Plugged in car. Shivering, blueprints advanced. Echo 2.0. But annotated, flaws highlighted. Kill switches embedded. Attached letter. Typed. Elias tried to end it. We couldn't let him. Join or burn. The collective. DARPA splinter? Rogue funders? My pulse thundered. Choice loomed. Tran Kai incarnate. Expose the collective. Ignite war on the invisible. Risk national security smears? Or infiltrate. Play double agent. Become the monster to slay it? I chose the abyss. Emailed the contact from a ghost account. I'm in. Coordinates. Reply swift. Vancouver. Neutral ground. Border hop. Fake passport courtesy Vic. $5K well spent. The meet was a waterfront warehouse. Fog off the inlet thick as plot. 2 figures. Woman in trench. Mid-40s.
Scar bisecting lip, man.
Hooded. Build like X-Seal. Harper's blood, she said.
No preamble.
Handing espresso bitter as intent. We built Echo to break minds, yours. His. The enemy's. Elias balked. Now he's the example. I sipped. Feigning cool. Example for what? Control freaks with God complexes? Scarlip laughed.
Dry.
Progress. You gonna help refine? Or leak and die? Hoodie slid a tablet. Sims of implants in action. Soldiers overriding fear.
Spy extracting truth sans torture.
Ethical quandary.
Kid.
But power like this? It ends wars.
Moral kicksand.
I'd seen Dad's hubris. This was Legion. Show me the lab, I said, bluffing buy-in. They did. Private jet to a black site in the Rockies. Bunker carved mountain. Humming with servers and cryotubes. Texan hazmat. Screens blooming neural webs. Your refinements, Scarlip urged. Stylus in hand. I nodded. Mind racing, backdoor code. Subtle as sin. To fry the network on command. Days blurred. Meals in mess halls. Briefings on volunteers, detainees, amnesiacs. Ghosts of Gitmo. Nights. I whispered to Vic via smuggled sat phone. Deeper than hail. Full expose when I ghost. But crack showed. Hoodie, real name Jax, crack during poker. Cards slapping felt. Elias was one of us. Warned you off cause he loved you.
Loved. The word lanced.
He killed for you? Jax's eyes shadowed. Sacrifices. Whitaker? She signed knowing risks.
Lies. But the doubt?
Fertilizer. Scarlip caught my drift. Confrontation in the cryo room. Frost blooming breath. Loyalty test. Harper.
Implant yourself. Prove.
The chair loomed. Straps leather bite. Needle glinting. Refuse? Execution. Accept? Become the controlled. Sweat beaded as they prepped. Monitors beeping prelude. For the family, the tech murmured. Echo of Dad. I locked eyes with Scarlip. Do it. But in the haze of prep, my hand, free a beat, slammed the emergency purge. Alarms shrieking. Systems cascading fail. Chaos erupted. Doors sealing. Gas hissing neutralizers. I bolted. Jax's shout. Traitor. Chasing. But the back door fired. Servers melting digital. Exfil was frenzy, snowmobile overpasses. Border patrol a blur.
Fix extraction van idling in Blaine.
Files, he barked. Tires spinning gravel. I clutched the stolen tablet. Echo's guts. All of it. Dropped to outlets. Secret lab. Mind control for the elite.
Word requad à prod.
Congressional hearings. The collective's faces on wanted lists. Back in Seattle. Sanctuary in the clinic's basement. Sarah barricading doors. You okay? Her hug fierce. The implant? Dummy, placebo swap in the scramble. But the toll? Bone deep. Riley visited. Eyes searching. Heard you danced with devils. Worth it. I nodded. Hollow. Ends the cycle. Spring thawed. Trials for the collective pending extradition. My network launched first implant. Ethical. On a vet like Riley. Consent ironclad. Dad wrote from Supermax. Knew you'd finish. Proud. I didn't reply. Trung Sin's arc bent toward light. But shadows lingered. Eternal vigil. Summer solstice painted the sound gold. Fairies slicing wakes like healing cuts. And my network's flagship clinic ribbon cut under blue skies, a converted warehouse in Ballard. Walls glass to scream transparency. Crowds swelled. Survivors. Reporters. Senators with photo ops and handshakes that lingered too long. Sarah emceed. Voice carrying. From ashes. We rebuild, not control. But choice. I stood back. Scrubs crisp. The weight of eyes like spotlights. Josephine Harper. Whistleblower. Innovator, Phoenix or Icarus. The scar on my shoulder itched. Phantom, a reminder that heights court falls. Operations hummed from day one. Intakes for trauma vets. Ethics boards virtual. Every scan live-streamed with consent. Riley was patient zero for the refined implant, neural bridge for lost memories.
No overrides.
Just gentle rewires.
Post-op.
He gripped my hand in recovery. Grin crooked. Flashes. Joe, my kid's face. Clear as yesterday. You did it. Tears pricked. Unbidden. I'd yanked his plug once. Now bridged his voids. But victory parades masked the march. Fed circled. Kowalski's updates laced grim. Collective's ghosts, off-grid. Funding cut, but grudges eternal. Watch your six. I did. Paranoia a second skin. Vic upgraded security, drones over the roof. Encrypted everything, but the notes persisted. Slipped under wipers. Legacy calls. Dad's hand? Or collective echoes. Lena pull me for drinks. Her loft in Fremont a haven of canvases and wine. You're a legend, she toasted. But her eyes searched. But happy? Or just surviving? The question lanced. Wine souring. Both. Neither. We talked till dawn, her art mirroring my maps. Chaos ordered, and for a breath, the old Joe surfaced, laughing unscarred. But the past clawed back in August, subpoena slamming like thunder, Dad's appeal hearing. New evidence from Supermax hacks. I flew D.C. Courthouse marble echoing footsteps. Air conditioned to chill. Gallery packed, activists glaring. Old colleagues averting eyes. Dad wheeled in. Frail in cuffs. Chemo gaunt from prison doc's errors. Cancer, irony's cruelest jab. The healer felled by his own field. His lawyer, slick as Marcus, paraded the drive's files. Dr. Harper fought the collective from within. Jury leaned. Doubts tide turning. Testimony gutted me. Cross called. Stand under Klieg's. MS. Harper. Your father's warnings, ignored, leading to the leaks that endangered lives. I gripped the rail. Knuckles bone. He enabled it first. The deaths. Objection overruled. But the spin stuck. Dad martyr. Me catalyst. Kowalski cornered me recess. He's bargaining. Name collective heads for retrial. Betrayal's hydra. Heads regrowing. Outside. Rain lashed again. Seattle's export. And I called Vic. Deep dive. Who's pulling appeal strings? Answer hit midnight. IP traces to Vancouver Shell Corps. Collective cutouts. They weren't saving Dad. Using him as Trojan, leak his exoneration, discredit the network. Paint ethical implants as tainted. Twists venom. Infiltrate my clinics. Plant bad apples. First sign?
Autad.
New hire. Fumbling a scan subtle code in the software. Backdoor to echo overrides. I caught it inventory night. Fingers flying keyboard. Purging the worm. Who sent you? I hissed. Zip ties biting wrists. He cracked. They promised cure for my wife. Dementia. Sympathy ward fury. Another pawn in the game. Decisions crucible. Expose the breach public. Tank trust in my work. Or silent purge. Hunt the head. Risk more plants?
Ishozat.
A lying rogue, Jax. The X-seal. Flipped post bust. Witness protection chafing. Meet in a dive, off I-5. His beard grizzled. Eyes haunted. Collective fractured.
Ja.
Scarlips running remnants. Calls herself Oracle now. Your dad's bait. She wants you. Intel flowed. Safe houses in the Olympics. Funding from crypto dark pools. Go in, he urged. End it. The raid brewed in whispers. Feds looped late. Kowalski grumbling jurisdiction. October full moon. Choppers thumping over evergreens. My team, Sarah.
Beak.
Riley's squad, geared tactical. Hearts pounding. Drop zone. Abandoned mill. Mist cloaking like accomplices. Breach silent. Flashbangs blooming. But Oracle waited. Throne of servers. Scar lip curled. Harper blood, predictable. Her finger hovered kill switch. Clinics networks. Rigged to fry patient implants nationwide. One word. And your miracles flatline. Standoff stretched. Guns drawn. Air electric. Why? I demanded. Step forward. Barrel cold on temple. Power or spite? She laughed. Echo chamber. Elias chose you over us. Legacy's curse. Flash of vulnerability, her eyes. Scarred not just flesh. Implanted my brother. Worked too well, erased him. Monster born of grief. Cycle's cruel loop. Riley flanked. Trank dart whispering. She slumped. Switch untouched. Cleanup cascaded. Drives seized. Coders flipping. Oracle's empire pixels to dust. Feds swept remnants. Headlines crowning. Whistleblower's daughter dismantles mind control cabal. Dad's appeal tanked. Sentence ironclad. His last call. Voice rasp. Knew you'd win. Forgive. Static swallowed my silence. November thawed to tentative sun. Network thriving, patients walking unaided. Memories reclaimed. Sarah and I expanded. Satellite in Portland. Dreams scaling. Lena's mural graced the lobby. Neural webs in vibrant chaos. Title rewired. Riley proposed at Thanksgiving. Ring simple.
Her yes avow.
But endings loop in American grit. Success shadowed by vigilance. I stood on the pier one dawn. Waves lapping. Dad's ghost whispering still.
Trùng sinh ta gut, better not endpoint.
But forge. I'd hammered mine to blade. Now sheath. Protect.
Build. Endure.
Josephine Harper.
No victim.
No villain. Just the story's stubborn heart. Beating on. Twist final. By kitsch-laced hope. Months later. A letter from Supermax. Not Dad, his warden. Enclosing a sketch. My face in pencil. Signed Elias for Joe. Eyes soft. Not steel. Love's last lie? Or truth unearthed? I framed it. Hidden drawer. Some secrets stay buried. Others. We choose to unearth. The end? Nah, American tales don't end. They pivot. Tense and raw. Into the next storm.